Now in this video I will show you how you can repair a guitar with the help of X-ray scans and laser welding. We are working on this Music Man John Petrucci model guitar in red sparkle finish and it has a problem. You can see it here, the neck is curved upwards with the string tension and the truss rod is not working, which only means that it is broken. So let's get to work. First, I'll take off the strings and all the tuners, remove the back plate and remove the bridge itself. I'll quickly check again and then I will remove the neck. I'm really careful here because I don't want to chip any lacquer when I pull the neck from the body. Now I'm just removing the truss rod from the neck itself and seeing what the damage is. How does this happen, you may ask? Well, sometimes the neck curves upwards naturally and you want to tighten the truss rod just to straighten the neck. But if you over tighten it, this will happen. Now to see exactly where the truss rod snapped, I will go take it to the X-ray machine and get a few scans done so I can see exactly what I'm working with. I'm removing the 3rd and 4th fret so I can carve out the fretboard and get access to the area where the truss rod broke off. Now I'm just marking the spot where I will carve out the fretboard, as later on I will need to make a new wooden patch to fit it in perfectly so that you will not see the repair. First I go with a sharp knife and then with a few saws just to mark up the edges, and then I will start with the chisel and, as Ted Woodford would say, carving, carving and some more carving. So now let's see the X-ray scans that we did and see what we're working with. This is actually the 4th fret and the piece on the left is the one that stayed in the neck and the piece on the right is the one that I pulled out. It actually broke off just a few millimeters before the 4th fret, so now I know where to dig in to get access to the spot of the truss rod that stayed inside the neck. I am using a Dremel tool to open up the neck because I need a wide area in order to laser weld the broken pieces back together. Now the next part you will see was actually not needed at the end, but I wanted to show the process of how it's done anyway. My dad here is making a steel reinforcement cap that would fit on top of the existing weld of the broken truss rod just to reinforce the bit a little bit more. Now here is how the little piece of steel actually looks like, and here you can see the idea behind it. As I said, this was actually not needed at the end, but the process is there for you to see. And now we're just preparing both ends of the truss rod for the laser welding process. Now the laser itself gets pretty hot, so in order not to char all the wood around it, we were spraying it and cooling it with water. I am really happy with how this turned out, but I still need to test if the truss rod is working properly now. So I put as much stress on it as I possibly can. I tightened the truss rod to the maximum and it holds perfectly. The neck has a nice curvature in it and the laser weld holds perfectly. Now I will need to fit a piece of maple in this patch, and then on top I will have to match the grain and the color of the fretboard. At this point you might be asking yourself, why not just replace the neck completely and buy a new one to save you all the trouble? Well, people often forget this is a business, and in business costs are everything. So in this case, the customer would have to pay 3 times the cost of this whole repair just to get a new neck. So looking at it from a financial point of view, there's no sense in buying a new neck if this one can be rescued and repaired. So here I'm just looking for the same type of rosewood so I can match the grain and the color of the original fretboard so I can make this patch look as invisible as possible. And to touch back on the topic of either buying a completely new neck or repairing the old one, I rather fix something that is broken if it can be fixed, but that's just me. Now I think I found the perfect patch here. You can see that the light and dark spots actually continue through, so now I just need to carefully measure it out, cut out the piece and fit it in. I will remove all the excess material from the top so that when I glue it in, I won't have to do so much sanding. Now I'm just mixing up the 2 compound glue and I'm carefully weighing it as it needs to be a perfect 5:6 ratio. I'm careful not to get any glue in the cavity as I don't want to glue the truss rod in place. This glue needs 24 hours to completely cure, so we will come back the next day. So the customer also decided to refret the neck mid-repair, which is not a problem, actually even better, because I will sand the neck completely flat and I will release all the tension that was previously in the truss rod. At this point there is a slight difference in color with the patch I filled in and the original fretboard, but that is not a problem. I will later stain it with oil and you will hardly see the difference. Now, if you're using stainless steel frets as I'm using here, always make sure to have the correct overbend. Now I'm removing the tuners just because it's easier to work with if they are off the neck, and I will also have to relacquer the part of the fretboard behind the nut that I sanded off earlier. Now, an old professional trick that my dad taught me is to use wood glue when you're fretting a guitar, as it fills the voids really nicely and it's also really easy to clean up. Now I'm just filing and dressing up the frets. I'm rounding off the edges and I'm making sure that the frets are all level with each other. Then I'm recrowning them, and after that I am fine sanding them up to 6000 grit, and then finishing off with extra fine steel wool and buffing them out at the end. Before I apply the oil to the neck, I will actually fit in a new Graphtec nut, and I will also have to relacquer the bit behind the nut. I forgot to film that, so here's just a quick edit of that. And now the most satisfying part of applying the oil. I let the oil sit on the neck for a couple of hours and then I wipe it off, and always make sure to have a microfiber cloth just to wipe off all the extra oil so you don't get greasy hands when you play. Now let's put this thing back together. If you've made it this far in the video, I would love to know your thoughts. What do you prefer? Me talking through the whole process like I'm doing here, or an ASMR type of thing with subtitles? I personally like both styles, as I watch a lot of Cam from Blacktail Studios and a lot of Tanya Shpachuk on guitar repair. I probably butchered her pronunciation, so sorry about that. Your input is greatly appreciated as I move forward with this channel. Now I'm just setting the tension on the machine heads and stringing up the guitar with these locking tuners. I'm mounting the rest of the springs and then I am fine tuning the nut. When you press down on the 3rd fret, you have to have a little bit of space between the string and the 1st fret. That's how you know you set the correct depth on your nut. If you're setting up your guitar with the floating bridge, you have to make sure it sits parallel to the body, otherwise you'll have a lot of stability and tuning issues. Every guitar player and guitar tech has to own some kind of a measuring tool. This one was sent to me by a Fretlizer. It's great because it has a dark background, so it's easier to see the string height. And it has all the measurements in metric and imperial if you want to complicate your life. Now, just the final touch-ups and the guitar is done. And that's it for this one. We are done. Here are some after shots of the repair. The guitar looks really sick and I think it turned out better than I expected, to be honest. If you want to support my channel, you can do so by simply sharing the videos with your friends or by becoming a member here on YouTube or checking out my Patreon page. I will have sound demos of this guitar playing at the end, some distorted and some clean sounds. So that's it. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.